Ready. Play.
Venus Williams is back. 45 years old, and she is got a wild card into Washington and looking to still prove that she can compete with the tour. Brenna, obviously we've known that she's been playing for a while. I think the wild card was announced last week, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to hand over to you, and take us through your thoughts on Venus Williams' return. Are you excited?
Of course, I'm excited. But I feel like as a tennis junkie, you have to come back to the reality. It's not like I'm expecting her to come out and show me something really impressive. And the draw, she's playing Peyton Stearns. That's not easy. So you put those two together. But overall excitement, right? That's what we're talking about. Bringing more eyes to the tournament, bringing more attention to the sport. Once again, it's a conversation that we'll continue to have in terms of wild cards. It's the tournament's discretion, and everyone's going to have an opinion. It's great for tennis. Do I think the product's going to be that good? No, not really.
Interesting. Yeah, we're getting into that sort of course, we're segueing into the wild card conversation here immediately.
I mean, obviously, we're going to delve into this conversation if we were going to talk about Venus Williams. Listen, is this a good idea? Probably not. Is it good for tennis? Probably. Everyone loves, you'll struggle to find people that don't want to see Venus Williams on a tennis court. This is like, I saw something the other day that was like the top 10 when she first entered the top 10, and I was like, it's just crazy her longevity of playing. Do I think she will be competitive? Maybe for a set. That's a maybe. As in, I'm not convinced. It's not like what I'm watching on, like, there are so many clips of her practicing in Washington, and she seems to be striking the ball as well as ever. Movement wise, haven't seen her. Like, I'm just not. You can't convince me. If she goes out and smokes Peyton Stearns, or even if she grinds out an unreal win against Peyton Stearns, then I'll be so happy and I'll be completely shocked to my core. Because I just don't see the product, as Brenna being that. But am I excited that she's back? 100%.
So what we're saying, Fergus, is you don't expect Venus Williams to be pulling a Sunny Hayes?
Absolutely not. That was a terrible reference, and I hope you are upset.
I knew you'd get it, though. I
hope you're upset with your reference.
No, I'm actually quite pleased with myself on a sick level. We can discuss our thoughts on that movie another time, probably off the air. Brenna's confused expression suggests he has no idea what we're referring to, and that's probably for the best. So, I guess we've got a lot of sort of different things going on here because, it is the movement that is the key thing, because her ball striking hasn't really gone away. Like, the last time she played tennis was Indian Wells 2024. Last time she won a pro match was Birmingham 2023, which and actually went pretty. I think was it Ostapenko or Georgie who beat her? I think she beat Georgie and lost to Ostapenko at a really tough third set. This is completely off memory.
Yeah, she beat Georgie, lost Ostapenko.
Yeah. And that third set, I think it was a 3-setter against Ostapenko.
It was, look,
If you're going toe-to-toe in terms of ground strokes with Jelena Ostapenko,
you haven't lost it.
She's still got something. I mean, like, this is a complete random tangent, and this is like nowhere near comparable because Venus is nowhere near as old as the person I'm referring to. But I remember watching some commentary of the Australian Open, and the guys talking about Ken Rosewall, who was Grand Slam champion for the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and saying, "Oh yeah, he still plays. He can still hit the ball as hard as he can. He just can't move." And that is going to be even more extreme for a man who was in his late 70s when they were talking about him at that point. Compared to a woman who's in her mid 40s. So I think to point that out is the main focus here. And let's delve a little bit into the match itself, as Fergus has done. Brenna, Peyton Stearns is not going to be super forgiving, I don't think, especially since I think when there's a crowd, she shows up.
Totally. And I think it's perfect conditions from her in terms of college-esque court, hot conditions, hard court, on home soil. So yeah, I think it's fairly routine, but once again, who knows? Haven't seen her playing forever.
As much as this is like a real stretch, because this feels a little bit like, well, I don't know. Actually, this might be a bad comparison, and shoot me down if this is a bad comparison. But this feels a little bit like Sinner Gasquet. Obviously, Gasquet a lot younger, but as in when Sinner and Gasquet played at Roland Garros, this feels a little bit in that sort of vacancy. As in, I'm asking the same question of how many games. How many games are we getting? I'm curious to know how many games is Venus Williams getting off Peyton Stearns, or is Venus Williams actually winning this match?
That is the perfect question, Fergus. I'm going to let Brenna answer that question first, and then I'll give my thoughts.
I'll start with your comparison. Not bad, Fergus. Sinner, Stearns comparison. That's not what you are comparing, but
I'm not comparing.
I know that. But
to win the US Open.
Yes. The producer has put up a graphic. Venus might not even win 4 games. I think that's kind of the reality. Maybe 2-2, 2-3.
I would like to clarify, Nolan. I'm not comparing Stearns and Sinner. By the way, I'm comparing the state of tennis.
This would be, I think, if you were going to do a similar comparison, this would be if Venus had drawn Arina Sabalenka.
I'm not saying that Stearns and Sinner have similar games at all. In case anyone was confused.
For one thing, I think Stearns is a lot more fun to watch in some ways.
I agree.
So, okay, I'm going to be more optimistic than Brenna. I'm actually going to say 5 or 6.
5 or 6. Did you say 3 and 2? Did you say?
I was 2-2, 3-2, 2 and 3.
I might have to call it after the first point. As in, I just need to see what the movement is like, because I just don't see it. I'm sorry. All the clips of her practicing, I don't think I've actually seen her move side to side. I just can't be convinced. I'm going to say 3.
And I do want to pose to you the question that the producer actually put in the chat. You're in charge of wildcards. Do you give Venus one?
Which is a good question, because I think I saw a tweet about this saying, because around the time Venus's wildcard was announced, it was also announced that Venus is playing in a sort of exhibition doubles event, not the mixed doubles, but an exhibition doubles event that's happening at the US Open with Coco Gauff. Players like Andre Agassi are in there as well. João Fonseca, I think, is doing it. So it's a mix of current and former players in that kind of event. And someone did point this out, maybe this all means that Venus is getting a US Open wildcard. That is, I think that's probably the appropriate time to have this conversation. So Fergus, let's go to you.
I actually have a similar feeling that they're going to give Venus a wildcard to the US. I just have a feeling that they might. If I'm in charge of Washington, do I give Venus a wild card? I'm gonna say no. I feel like there's a threshold between veteran player and trying to still creating that moment of magic that that veteran player used to be able to create and hold, and maybe get one huge win, even if it's someone that's 37 and beats the world number 43 in the first round of whatever slam or big tournament. I just think this is past that threshold. I just can't be serious about Venus Williams competing on a tennis court, as in with the pros, with how physically demanding the tour is, both men and women now. I just think it's the threshold has been crossed. I don't want to be too harsh, but I feel like that's.
I think this is it's interesting we have this conversation because there's different thoughts about giving wildcards. So you're going off, is this person actually going to be competitive?
I just feel like there's it's competitive. It's purely down to competitiveness, and I just think that she just is not competitive enough. And I really hope she proves me wrong. I really hope. She even if she loses 4-4, I'll be well, she proved me wrong, because that is competitive. There's 2 sets of competitive tennis right there.
Okay, I'm gonna put my point out about wildcards. So the question was, If I was in charge of Washington, would I give her a wild card? And the answer is yes. In fact, I will go as far as to say if I'm in charge of the US Open wildcards, I'd give her one. And there's two reasons for that. One, ticket sales. That's a name that sells tickets. Especially if I'm running Washington, I'm a businessman first. Ticket sales, get people in to watch Venus Williams. They don't care how competitive she's going to be. They want to see her play. And especially since, there's a lot of people who don't realize that Serena Williams is retired. There's a lot of people who don't realize that Roger Federer is retired. Then the other reason I would be putting is when you look at the great wild card runs in history, both men's and women's, it's usually been from a player who's had a track record of doing really, really well. And I'm thinking of players like Goran Ivanisevic at Wimbledon 2001 and Kim Clijsters 2009 US Open. They won the tournament. Now, they had, let me finish.
Yeah.
They had track records of getting to finals or winning Grand Slams before and being in the mix and winning big titles. Now, are they completely different situations? Yes. But I would say if there's more than a 0% chance that this could happen, I am 100% going on the more than 0% chance because I'm going to want that story for my tournament. And I'm not giving Venus Williams a 0% chance. So that's why I would give her a wild card.
I have a follow-up question in a sense.
Go on.
Do you think this could be, we're talking about now, do we give Venus a US Open wildcard? Do we see Washington, D.C. as a little bit of a trial? If it does go really poorly, does that make the tournament kind of question their decision?
I can see that. I can see that this is but do you reckon Venus is in on the trial? Or do you reckon this is do you reckon they said, listen, we're going to give you a wild card here because we know you still want to play tennis. If it goes really badly, we won't be giving you a US wild card. If it doesn't go really badly, then we will. And what is the threshold of really badly? If that is the case. And I'd like to point out, Nick, you were talking about Goran Ivanisevic and his run to Wimbledon, right? I agree with you in that sense, but do you feel like the threshold has not been crossed at this point? As in, the line has not been crossed, that Venus Williams now is, past that Ivanisevic kind of run?
I think you kind of answered that question in terms of it depends on how the tournament goes with how this Washington goes, because I think, Brent's question is quite smart. Is this a test run to see how competitive is ahead of the US Open? I think Venus would still play the US Open, but I think it would set expectations of whether it's the farewell US Open or one that she feels like she can still compete. So I guess it depends. Are we past the threshold? I think it depends if she loses Love and Love or not. I think if she loses Love and Love, yes. If she wins some games, no.
No, you make a good point. You've kind of, she didn't play US Open last year. She obviously played Indian Wells last year. We obviously don't know the ins and outs, but you would have thought that, if she was hoping to still play competitively, then she might even not even ask for it, that her be in the mix conversation for a US Open wildcard last year, and she wasn't. Maybe this is a kind of we're starting to put together this big farewell, thank you sort of thing. That means that this is officially, we're calling it officially, you are done. After all these years of in the last 3-4 years, everyone going, is she still an active player? Is she not an active player? Is she still being able to compete with the tour? And that this is officially the end. Washington, US Open, done.
I can see that.
Yeah, I like that. Last thing to mention, just because it's on my mind, is I think it was Indian Wells when they were like, oh, we're going to give her a wild card. Meanwhile, she's overseas and she's like, oh, I just heard about this. That's not happening. But she did say she was hitting.
Yeah. There's the video of her hitting with Coco Gauff in Indian Wells. Not in Indian Wells, in Miami.
Yeah.
Got it.
Went down and had a hit with Coco. So that's right. So it's possible. I mean, I think we'll close the discussion of Venus Williams. Just to kind of wind up the producer. Yes, I would give Martina Navratilova a wild card. I wouldn't give one to Rod Laver, though. He does have a 0% chance. But yeah, Brenna, as the American in the room, I want to hear your kind of point to close this discussion on Venus Williams.
Well, I think I liked your point. I mean, look, as a businessman, it's a great opportunity. Especially, I also want to highlight, especially because DC this year is even the last 2 years, because of the Olympics last year, it was like a very, very low key event in terms of the draw and attendance and whatnot. So I think, yes, this is a great opportunity to provide a spark, bring more attention to the tennis world in general. I know that the draw unveil and, her press conferences were already a huge hit. So I think it's just a great opportunity to at least spark, the tennis world to start the U.S. hardcourt swing.
From a purely business perspective, this is A+. They've absolutely nailed it.
And let's face it, from a business perspective, a lot of the tournament is A+ with some of the names they've got. Even if you couldn't line it up with top 10 players, you've packed the draw with Grand Slam champions.
Yep.
So props.
They're both men's and women's in Washington. The draw is absolutely stacked.
Yeah. The women's, I feel like, is even more so. And I think we're going to
I agree.
Move into that in a minute. But actually, I do want to do one more point on Venus Williams, because we're talking about her singles prospects. She's actually playing the doubles as well. She's playing the doubles with Hailey Baptiste. And their first round, I believe, is against Clervy Ngunwe and Eugenie Bouchard. So that's going to be an interesting one, because one of those players is definitely retiring and one of those players might be retiring. Eugenie Bouchard is definitely retiring in Canada.
Yeah.
So I want to, maybe this is a pivot point, but actually, I'll go to you first, Fergus, and then Brenna, you give your thoughts after Fergus has given his. Are we more optimistic about a Venus run in the doubles?
Yes. Yes.
How much more? Like, give me an optimism level.
We've gone, I think, singles, I'm maybe at maybe like 2%. Doubles, I'm more reaching towards, like, would you count as a run, like winning their first round, or like making like the semis?
Well, first round is doable. The question is, maybe in the second.
I'd say it's, if we're gonna see like a set, it will be in the doubles, like, or even like if they win like 100%, like, it's completely different. Doubles is such a different game. If we could possibly see a mini run be put together in the doubles, mainly because you cut your movement in half, right? And that is such a huge part of it. And, and we were talking about, she still has the ball striking ability, and how crucial is that? I'm also very interested to see how she serves throughout this week, whether it's, singles or doubles. Another question is, when was the last time she played a professional doubles match?
I actually don't know that.
We must be hitting on a couple, like, nearly 2-3 years.
I mean, let's face it, her usual doubles partner, Serena's gone.
Yeah.
So.
And quickly, just to answer our producer's question, Venus's last slam final was 17 against her sister in Australia. Yeah.
Venus and Hailey Baptiste in the doubles. How excited are we for this?
That is a popcorn match. Like that. Talk about selling out tickets. That place should be packed.
100%.
I'll start with the opponents. Obviously, you got Bouchard, who's announced her retirement and played some good doubles actually last week in Newport. But her teammate, Clervy, I'm not too sure on the pronunciation of the last name, but she's an up-and-coming American star. So it's a great prospect. They did a really good job with that wild card, I thought. But then what I am looking at is, because who knows, but Taylor Townsend would be the next opponent, likely, if they were to move forward. But I think that's a great duo, Baptiste and Venus. So that'll be a fun one.
I think so too, especially like with the game style Baptiste, who likes to be a bit more creative. I think that could work quite well with Venus kind of protecting kind of the baseline and then Baptiste moving around. I think that could work quite well. If
you were to ask me, I would rather buy tickets to that doubles match than that singles match.
That stands. Okay.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, every doubles is worth buying tickets for anyway. So, but I agree.
100%. We are not Riley Opelka. Just like that.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.